So I've got a funny voice as well. I have no idea what's going on. Well, I do have an idea, that's a lie. I've had a really bad flu-like thing for a few days now. And it's finally decided to hit my voice. So if I say I had no idea, that's not exactly honest. But here we go. Good morning. I'm not driving today. I'm not driving because yesterday I went to see the ophthalmologist for a review. Those of you who are new on the platform will not know. 3 years ago, I seem to have all the surgical procedures in this world. I had a laser treatment, and at the time, I did not quite understand. This guy managed to explain it properly to me. But they found that I was in danger of a detached retina down the line because they saw retina degeneration. And so the guy decided to do a laser protective procedure. And eventually, well, yesterday I was there for a review. But when you have one of those things done, what is done is the dilation of your pupils. So my pupils were dilated. It was still dilated till about 5 a.m. this morning. That meant that it wasn't safe to drive after yesterday. So I was picked up. I left my car at work. And it's giving me this very rare opportunity to go to work at the back of a taxi. So I can talk to you without driving. And I don't know. Okay? Yeah, those of you who are that obsessed with clean lenses know that I am trying my best, but it's just not. Betty, how are you doing? Good morning. Yeah. One of the things that he said to me yesterday was how lucky he felt I was to be in the position I find myself in. Because usually people, well, how are you doing? People who have this degeneration do not see it. They do not find it. So he was trying to find out how on earth the previous ophthalmologist found the issue in the first place. Because they actually do need to do a full retina scan in order to identify this problem. I had gone and I had requested something. I think I had read about something. Thank God for another day, indeed. I had requested something, and that something led me down to this process where my retina was scanned and the issue was found and dealt with. But yeah, he told me that the laser markings had now surrounded the areas of weakness, and even if that area of weakness gives, it will be contained, and the risk of the detachment is minimized significantly. Lucky woman, and so on. And that's the reason why this morning I want to have this conversation around aging and some of the decisions you need to start making. Again, me, I know almost all my medical conditions. Why do I know almost all my medical conditions? Because I am quite frequent at the hospital. I take the time when nothing is wrong to go get myself checked out so I can discover. I went for a routine check. They found a funny thing with my pulse, and then we went through the cascade, which ended up Creole Tech Spoon, how you doing? Yeah. How do you say your name? Sian Umar? Good morning. I went for a routine check. They took my pulse. My pulse was not pulsing. And when they realized my pulse was not pulsing, we went through an investigation. Eventually, we discovered the issues with the rhythms of my heart. And then a long investigation, a long effort to treat it. And finally, the cardiac ablation that I had a few years ago. Again, the cardiac ablation I had allowed me to avoid tiring and to improve circulation. Big deals. How do you know these things? Is when you are self-aware, when you present yourself quite regularly for monitoring. I hear people say all the time, as for me, I don't go to hospitals. That is not a smart thing to do, especially when you're around my age and older. It's not smart. The smart thing to do is to go to hospitals so they can find things out whilst there is time. So this thing with my retina, fortunately, the guy who first saw the problem says that if I had left it for another 10 years, we would be dealing with a whole big issue. And as he explained it, it made sense because this thing runs in my father's side of the family. There is a sight challenge that they have. My dad had it. Now his living sister, his only living sister, has an extreme version of it. When you go to her, she'll tell you that I can't see you, I can only see your outline. I can only see your outline. Besides, in my left eye, they found that my lenses have been excellent up to this point. But yeah, my lens is also now not quite lensing. Every time I did an eye test, I could read all the stupid little letters they ask you, including all the ones in the corner. But this time, for this eye, there was a little one there, and I wasn't sure whether it was a C, a G, or an O. That tells me that I don't have clarity in that corner. And the guy says, well, we can give you a lens of plus 1.25. The ophthalmologist says maybe a +1, maybe all. But if I want, I can actually work with exercises and see if the exercises will help me to manage. And yes, it's degenerative, so over time the lens is going to weaken and we're going to have to strengthen it and so on. But again, it is good to know some of these things in advance. It's good that it's not sprung on you. Yeah, Nana, the only reason why it will not be sprung on you is if you are frequent in getting checked out. You should certainly know what is happening with key organs in the body. You should certainly know your frailties. One of the greatest discoveries of my life was the fact that I discovered I had polycystic ovaries. The minute I discovered I had polycystic ovaries, well, initially my concern was around fertility. But then as time went on, I became aware of the fact that it predisposes you to a lot of things. That's the reason why I am not currently diabetic. If I had left my polycystic ovaries to continue wreaking the havoc that they can, I would have been a confirmed diabetic by now. I would have to be on some serious insulin by now. The reason why I am not a diabetic and I am only at risk of is awareness. When I knew of this polycystic ovaries and the connection to insulin resistance, guess what? Good night, Pat. Good night. You're right, sis. It's so good to see you. Hello, Jamaica. Yeah. You know, I went and spoke to the treating physicians. They found me education programs, Joanne, that allowed me to understand the condition and, more importantly, figure out how to manage it. I became aware of insulin surges, glycemic index, and the effect of these things on my body and my resistance. And so, guess what? I went to see the dietitians and nutritionists. I have had a rethink of what I eat. Even the things that I will eat, I have had a rethink of when I eat. So there are certain things that should be eating. I came across a piece of research recently that says that the way we eat is wrong. You should have the fruit first. Those are simple sugars. Then you follow it with the other carbohydrates and so on. The jury is out on that particular one, but it suggests that the order in which you eat your food itself, what you should eat is the vegetables first, followed by the protein, and then the carbohydrates. Long time. It's good to see you. That order makes sense because you want to get the vegetables. It contains more complex nutrition. So you want to eat that and fill your space with that. Then you need the protein. So you want to fill your space with the protein. Hopefully by that time you are nearly satisfied. And so you have a little bit of a gap to add in your other carbohydrates. If you eat that way, you are likely you guys okay. What is this? Where did I find it? You guys hold on a minute, yeah? Thought I had left my ID card, but fortunately I do have it. Yeah. Good morning, Felix. How you doing? Good morning. Lisa and Waxy. You know? Knowing what to eat, how to eat, in the knowledge of your predispositions is very helpful. I have been fighting elevated blood lipids for a long time. I have been with hyperlipidemia maybe for 15 years. Knowing my susceptibility to this elevated cholesterol makes me mindful of what I should eat. It's taken me on a journey to understand supplementation quite carefully, especially the omega-3 supplementations that I require in this fight, alongside the magnesium and zinc and other microminerals that I do need to work on. I'm telling you my conditions because I do know my conditions. My question is, do you know yours? Do you know your conditions? Are you aware of your conditions? Perlene, if you don't know your conditions, you are taking a risk of working on assumptions. And that could be a catastrophic event, actually. Could be a catastrophic event. You don't want to work on assumptions, especially at this age. Life begins at 40, huh? The end begins at 40. Degeneration accelerates at 40. If you know people who have crossed that mark, and they will be sincere, they will tell you that they all discovered scary things as soon as you cross that mark. When you cross that mark, if people ahead of you have been friendly and helpful, they should have told you what is to come. That's the time to get frequent with your medics, to understand all the changes that are happening, because there's a lot of things that change at that time, to manage the things that you can manage. So for me, catching these things ahead of time, like this retina issue, catching it 10 years ahead, because typically, he says, most people would not even be aware that this is happening at this stage. it would be 10 years from now that the actual issues will present themselves and they will start treating the detached retina itself. They caught mine at degeneration, and we've managed to put in some protective actions, and hopefully that helps me. I hope that this conversation, at the very least, Aisha's Diary, how you doing, makes you realize that there are certain susceptibilities that you ought to be aware of. I hope that this conversation draws your attention to the fact that you need to be mindful. You need to speak to your family. You need to understand what runs in your family. As I said, this degeneration of the retina runs in my dad's family. My dad had some eye conditions, some sight challenges that his little sister, well, his other sisters also seemed to get over time. Knowing that as soon as this degeneration issue came up, it began to make sense. And I started talking to my siblings actually. Hey, you might want to go and check this out. You do. I started talking to my children. And I'm very, very vocal around these things to my children. I want my children to know way in advance of the things that they are likely to be susceptible to, the things that they are supposed to be mindful of.
Mom, you want to go to front or back?
Front, gate 1, please. Thank you. And yeah, today, I wish I had more time to continue this. I will not be able to dwell on this much, but I think having the opportunity to even do so for this brief period is helpful. My final word is go check yourself out. Yeah? Do go and check out. There might be something lurking that you should know and fix. If there is one, you want to find it and you want to do something about it. Let me love you and leave you, and I'll see you guys later.